I'm sure you can hear me. It's a mixed moment for me because when we started TRRAIN, Trust for Retailers and Retail Associates of India, and having been associated with RAI for many, many years, we started off with 4 pillars. And the pillars was how do you build pride in the industry? How do you get respect for people who work in the industry? How can we make the industry more inclusive? And third is, and the last one is, how do we bring development in the industry? I must share the statements which led us to creating this kind of a thought. We were talking to a lot of our associates, and when I say associates, it could be you, me, and people who work on the front end. And I was also talking to a lot of retailers, small, big retailers with mostly kiranas and shopkeepers. And 4 statements emerged from them, and that became a very powerful insight for us to start TRRAIN. The first statement was, we don't mention in our society that we work for retail. This is amazing. Even today, many of us who are here, family members have kids, rarely would allow our kids to take up the front-end associate's job as the first choice. The second was, we are not educated, so we don't get any respect, which is also true. True from the fact that many of us actually take youth who are 8th pass, 10th pass, 12th pass, and some of them are graduates. So what happens is the normal choice for a parent, if the kid is not able to pass 10th or 12th, or for reasons of finance, they are not able to take on further studies, they say, let's talk to my uncle, auntie, friend, dukandar, my neighborhood store and ask you to join. That's the way the whole build-up of this industry happens. But on the other hand, you also know that this industry is probably one of the few industries which provides tremendous growth. Yesterday I did a post on LinkedIn, and because it is so fresh, let me share this with you. We have, in that post I mentioned about 4 people, but in my opinion there must be 40,000 such people that I don't know. This is the only industry where you can start as a loader, as a sales associate, and become a CEO or a managing director. The biggest retailer in the world, Walmart's managing director, Mr. Doug McMillon, started his career as a loader in the warehouse in Walmart. And today he runs a $700 billion company. Kumar mentioned about Amisha. Amisha started as an associate in Andheri in 1992. Today she is the CEO of TRRAIN. In fact, I just now saw Dhimant, if he is there somewhere. Are you there, Dhimant? Okay, stand up there. Dhimant started as a management trainee with us, and he is today the CEO of the whole Imagica group. Those of you who buy Skechers as shoes, Rahul Veera, the CEO of Skechers, is actually started his career as a management trainee with us. And there are lots and lots of the business head of Azorte. So this is an industry which allows people to grow irrespective of your qualifications. And this only happens because this is an industry which is very inclusive. The basic nature of retail is inclusive. I have not heard of a shop or a store or a chain which says, you can come in, you cannot come in. No. In fact, in my memory, there was a retail company which started, I won't take the name, many of you would know. It started off and it thought the best way to do is say, show your credit card before you enter. So they had to show the credit card as a customer and enter, but it didn't last for more than 2 years. So the industry is very inclusive. In fact, every time you open a store, you actually want to look at what the neighborhood. You want to actually look at who all stay in the neighborhood. You go deep into houses to check the wardrobes. So this is by nature a very, very inclusive industry. And if you look at nature, the real nature is also extremely inclusive. Real nature, you read spiritual texts, they'll say, no tree distinguishes when it bears fruit to say who is going to eat the fruit. So the nature is inclusive. The industry as a retail industry is inclusive by nature of business. Then when this topic was given to me to say embrace, I was just wondering, why are we pushing the industry to embrace? I mean, this is the genesis of this industry. That's how we have actually built ourselves. So we have to ask this question saying, how do we actually take the nature and the natural way of retail into the natural way of running business? That's all. So this is not a rocket science of saying, let's create inclusivity by embracing, employing and empower. I think there are some fundamental issues and challenges within our ecosystem which makes us come out with these statements. And it is important to run these summits because somewhere you have to start. And I must share this with you. When we started TRRAIN, there were only 3 companies, 3 retailers who were actually taking PWDs. Okay, and this was Costa Coffee Day, Cafe Coffee Day and KFC. And the reason of setting up Punk, reason of setting up TRRAIN was to say that if India has 26 million persons with disability as per the government census, as per whatever we know and all of us who are involved, it's anywhere between 70, 75, 80 million, okay, which is a large 4-5% of the population today has challenges. So when you have this kind of ecosystem, our own brothers and sisters in this, okay, and retail on the other hand employs 50 million people, and unfortunately retail has an attrition of close to 35-40%. I mean, this is the place where we can actually bring inclusiveness by getting people. So this is no research, no science to be applied. It's absolutely simple that retail is a place where we can really bring inclusion in the society without any challenge. But all of us talk of the inclusion part of it, which is the 2% or 3% or 1%. I think we are making a big mistake. The impact that inclusion brings in the industry is multifold. And I want to give you an example. It is not 10x, 20x, 50x. It is 100x and 1000x, especially in retail. So I was just looking at what TRRAIN has done in the last 13 years. We have skilled close to about 40,000 persons with disability, in which we have about 55% SHIs, about 40% orthopedic and about 4-5% slow learners and low vision. They currently constitute about 1%, roughly about 1% of the industry, less than 1% of the industry. Not just what we have, but there are other NGOs, other people who are doing great work. So put together, my estimate is maybe there are about 250,000 people who are working in the industry. This is much less than 1%. But do you realize that this 1% actually influences the 99% who work in the organization? And that to me is the power of inclusion. So you are sensitizing the community without doing sensitization workshop. And I'm saying this because when we talk to people, when we talk to cashiers who are deaf and mute, SHI, and we talk to the cashiers next to them and ask them saying, what do you think? They say, sir, we are surprised. Okay. People say they are person with disability. Honestly, I am the person with disability. What they can do, I can't do. And this is the case for everybody. Neuro, slow learners. I mean, you go to Lemon Tree and sit in a restaurant. You go to Mirchi and Mime and sit in a restaurant. You wonder what's happening. Such beautiful service, such efficiency, such productivity. How does it happen? So just look at this. When 2 people join a retailer who has 100 employees, the 98 become sensitive. So if 40,000 people, just from TRRAIN I'm saying, have gone into the retail ecosystem, 1.5 million retail employees have got sensitized. And look at what happens to a retail employee when he works on the front end. An average retail employee meets between 20 to 30 customers a day. 20 to 30 customers a day, which means on a 25 working days, he or she is meeting 500 customers in a month, which means he or she is meeting 6,000 customers a year. So even if I take simply the 50,000 which we have put into the market, forget the 200,000 which have come from all over the place, you are talking of 300 million Indians being exposed to this on a day-to-day basis. So do you understand the impact of the work that all of you and all of us do together, and what we can do by bringing this change within the community, industry and the country? Now, I'm giving this example as a multiplication, but just think through. You all are leaders, you are people from HR. Just think through to say, what's the impact? So when you talk to your CEOs, when you talk to your promoters, don't tell them we want to bring inclusion by appointing 2% of the people. That's a mistake. What you have to say is, sir, we want to sensitize 98% of the people in the company, because that's what HR is meant for. HR is not meant for a small group of people. It's meant for the whole community there. And that multiplier effect can be humongous. We have examples, and I'm sure you have examples. We are talking to a set of customers in Powai, in Mumbai, and they said, we go to this store of the same chain and not this store of the same chain. There are two stores in Powai, and this is a grocery supermarket. It's DMart. I mean, I know the company, so I can share that with you. And she said, I go to this store and not that store. They're equidistant to my house. And the reason? The cashiers there are SHI. That is what is happening to the customer. So this makes business sense to actually build inclusion. So when we say embrace, when we say employ, when we say empower, how is this difference for normal? Anybody else? I mean, do you ever say that PWDs or women, let's have embrace, employ, empower? But all the others, don't embrace, don't employ, don't empower. No, this is the same for everybody. It's just that today we are having a summit like this, and therefore we are saying, please embrace, employ. But in a way, we are also trying to become exclusive, saying, employ that. No, this is part of business. So a lot of people ask me, say, how do you start this? Where do you start from? And a lot of people tell me that, these things start always with the CEO. Sometimes movements can be started by employees which CEOs have no choice than to embrace. And I think that's the moment that I would love to see all of us starting, okay? Because there are very few CEOs sitting here. That doesn't mean the CEOs cannot actually adopt. So I look at it two ways of doing this. I mean, all of us have a purpose statement. We have a vision, mission, and we have values and all that. I always say that, see, vision, mission, values are fine because they sometimes are there for 1 decade, 2 decades, 3 decades. But it is the purpose of the organization which lasts much longer than the lifetime of most of us. And I think that is to be defined very, very well. And I keep repeating this because this is so much etched in my mind. I must have said this last year also. I was in a conference where Mr. Ratan Tata was sitting and he was being interviewed. And somebody got up from the audience and said, Mr. Tata, you have hundreds of businesses. How do you decide which business to get into? Now, this is a serious McKinsey question. To getting into a business means you have to do so many things. You know what his answer was? What's good for the community is good for Tatas. I mean, in 6-7 words, he actually defined the purpose of one of the largest conglomerate of this country, and that is power. That's power. So for me, the request and suggestion is, can you somehow bring this equity and inclusiveness in the purpose statement of your organization? Because things are changing. It is important. And as a part of some other work with a very large consulting firm which consults with NGOs, we said, can we check the annual reports and balance sheets of all the listed companies and look at saying how many listed companies have inclusion as part of the purpose statement? Okay, you won't find even 5%. I think that is important. So if our purpose states we want to be inclusive, you automatically will happen. Whether CEO is there or CEOs change, it will happen. It's not an easy ask, it's a difficult task, but this is how you can make a beginning. And I would strongly urge that see if you can really bring that movement. ACOM is a very small initiative towards bringing this movement. RIA is today one of the largest retail organizations in the country, and hopefully when all of us get together, work towards this, we should be able to develop something where this industry can become more inclusive, this industry can serve the customer, serve the society because of the inclusion. The other thing that happens is, due to the accessibility issues in the country, we do see, when we say inclusion, we are talking of everybody. Due to accessibility issues, we don't see PWDs in the society, in the community. And therefore, we don't even know what's happening. And the moment you start creating inclusivity, you will actually find a lot of us will start realizing that there are such talented individuals who are there, and we actually will encourage them to come into the community. And that's a job that all of you as HR have to do. What happens when a person like this gets a job? Since we work at the lower end of the strata, I'm going to share some of the data and insights from the lower end of the strata. Yeah, 66% of the youth who come into our ecosystem are coming from farmers who have migrated to urban areas. Their family income. The father is a laborer, mostly daily wage, which means not a consistent income. Mother is generally a worker, again on a monthly basis, but as a maid or servant or whatever. Because they have migrated, they are not sitting in a permanent house, and therefore the kid, if it so happens that they have a kid who has some challenges, are kept at home. Now when these kids come into our ecosystem, and after 45 days of skilling, training, whatever we do, and they get a job in esteemed companies like all of you here, and they earn anywhere between 12 to 25,000. Okay, last year's our average was some 14,000 something. It doubles the family income. It literally doubles the family income. I mean, a lot of us will come here and probably have a meal in the night with the family and spend 10,000 bucks. But a 12 to 14,000 to such youth doubles the family income of the family, and it has tremendous impact. And these impacts we can't imagine. I mean, a girl tells me that my parents wanted to marry me, I was not keen, but I have taken up a job. So I said, what will you do next? I will ensure my younger sister studies so that she is not married at the age of 18 years. Power of inclusion, power of 14,000 rupees a month, that's all. But look at the power. And to me, this is the impact it has. We met a parent and said, what do you think about it? He says, we are so proud of our kid. We thought, what will happen to this kid? What will happen to the kid after we are not there? And you know what they said? The biggest change that's happened is our status and respect in the society and community has gone up. Now this is, just imagine a parent saying my respect has gone up because the community thought that this kid will always remain at home. As parents, neither they can afford nor they have the intention to do anything, and therefore they're worthless. We have an incident which happened many years back. I'm just recollecting as I'm talking to you, of a kid in Hyderabad who started earning some 9,000 or 10,000 that time. Started sending 5,000 rupee back home to the village, a very, very small village. For the parent of the kid who had hardly any earning, farm laborers, this 5,000 was big money. So they started using the 5,000 on some things which became visible. For example, probably a small roof on their shed. When the community realized this, they met him and said, how can your son send this kind of a money from Hyderabad because he has no ability to earn? Looks like he's got into bad habits. So the panchayat of that particular village decided to send 2 members into Hyderabad to see what this kid is doing. They came, and this is in Shopper Stop, so I'm telling you this story. They came and met the HR, met this kid, saw the kid what he's doing. They went back, they called the parents. Not only they brought the parents in front of panchayat and clapped for them, they called the kid from Hyderabad. This kid went across and he was honored in front of his whole village for doing this. Now look at the impact. So people like you sitting in a fabulous role of influencers within the company, please do not think that you have done a tick by hiring one person with disability or hiring some people. No. Just go across and look at what you have done. Look at this family. Look at that daughter. Look at that girl. So you are game changers, and you can be game changers and nation builders if you get to understand the kind of impact that you can create. And to me, that is the power that we have. And I'm hoping that through ACOM, year after year after year, and this is a very persuasive job, okay? It will take, in my opinion, 10, 12, 15, 20 ACOMs before the industry becomes so inclusive that at least we have 2% or 3% of PWDs within us, or LGBTQI, or women inclusion. Because even today you look at women. I mean, all of us have 55% of our customers are women. 90% of the businesses, 55% are. Even in men's garment business, 25 to 35% are women. So if you have women as customers, why do we have 22%? And retail industry has 22% women employed. Why do we have 22%? I mean, it's a question you have to ask. And why do you have 1% or 2% CEOs in retail who are women? Why do you have CXOs who are 5%? Why do you have leadership which is 10%? If you have 55% customers, then you should have the same proportion. If not 55, 35, 40, 45. So inclusion is in the mind, and the impact is tremendous. And this is a nation building exercise. This is something that we impact day in and day out. And I would love to request, appeal to say that join us and join RAI, join TRRAIN in making our industry more inclusive and creating an impact which will be lasting much, much, much longer than your life and my life. Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you.